I think it's more of the latter. I think Danny Jacobs is he's always been a terrific talent. He's always had the athleticism, the skill. He had the amateur background. I think the only thing that's really been missing from his career is consistency, and that's because of his battle with cancer. But going through that ordeal, it obviously made him a stronger person, and I think he showed that. I mean, he showed a killer instinct, which we'd never really seen from him. I mean, we knew that he was fast, fluid, he's accurate, and that he had power. We never seen him take out a world-class middleweight. We've seen him stop journeymen, but we've never really seen him jump on guys and just take them out in that kind of fashion. But he obviously stepped his game up for Quillen, because Quillen's a dangerous guy. He's raw. He's a good athlete. He's not the natural talent that Danny Jacobs is, but he's big and he has brute strength. And he was just seen as the sturdier, stronger fighter. But I think people overestimated Quillen's power.
Yep.
And they underestimated Danny Jacobs' power. And another thing, I think they made too much of the fact that Danny Jacobs' one loss was by knockout to Dimitri Bivol, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and that he was dropped in his previous fight against Sergio Mora, who was not a puncher. So
right.
We're thinking, well, Jacobs has the lesser of the two chins, but Peter Quillen's chin is not Jake LaMotta-esque. He's been dropped before in contests. He was dropped by Andy Lee. I've seen him buzzed in the gym. I've seen him buzzed in some of his earlier fights. But we've never seen him knocked out. So, I mean, the thought was that he could take a better shot than Danny Jacobs. And he took the shot, didn't go down, and I think that was really his problem. I think if he would have gone down, maybe Quillen would have, he would have been able to get like an 8 count.
Sure.
Would have been able to clear his head and survive. Or maybe even if he fell into the ropes, maybe the referee, Harvey Dock, would have ruled that a technical knockdown and started a count and given him some time to clear his head. But props to Danny Jacobs, because he stung Quillen and he jumped on him and repeatedly hurt him.
Yep.
And he basically took his legs away, and Doc just had no choice but to wave it off, because it didn't look as though Quillen was able to protect himself.
No, and you're right. He made a huge mistake. I mean, I don't want to say it's boxing 101, fighters of their caliber, but he tried to fight it out rather than start to hold on to Jacobs. And you alluded to maybe you take that knee. Yeah, sure, it's ruled a knockdown, but you give yourself the breather, you clear your head.
Yeah.
Jacobs never stopped throwing, to me, which shows that he's got that killer instinct to try to put an opponent away. I want to get your thoughts.
Serve him well, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
He's a hot player in the 160-pound division, which is heated up. I mean, it's heated up in recent years, particularly this year. Gennady Golovkin is viewed as the man.
Yep.
The division got some star power with Canelo Alvarez beating Miguel Cotto for the Ring Magazine title, the WBC belt, and the lineal recognition as the champ. And definitely Danny Jacobs. He's right there with that duo.
Doug Fischer from Ring TV Online, joins us for a couple moments. Does a great job writing, as well as calling some of the bouts ringside out on the West. You do a good job doing it on the West Coast, my friend. One more quickie for you, because I know I got to let you run. But Cotto and the Alvarez fight, I thought, look, Alvarez, obviously, the bigger, the stronger, the heavy-handed fighter. I thought maybe going in, Cotto was going to try to outbox him a little bit, box to the outside, not really engage. But when it was all said and done, Cotto, to me, I hate to say looked like a shot fighter, because you saw what he was able to do prior to that. What was your thoughts as we close it out? What were your thoughts overall on that fight?
I thought Cotto boxed extremely well for a 35-year-old veteran pro with 15 years of experience and a lot of hard fights under his belt. I think he looked like a very good junior middleweight in with a full-bodied young middleweight, and that's what Canelo Alvarez is. He was the real middleweight in there, and I think Miguel Cotto can beat a lot of really good fighters at junior middleweight, not at middleweight. He was never really middleweight. I don't think he's shot. I definitely think he's faded, but he's been faded, probably the last 5 or 6 years. Canelo Alvarez, I think he's got a bright future if he recognizes that he is indeed a middleweight and stops pretending to be a junior middleweight. I think he needs to to get out of the habit of coming in at 155 pounds because his junior middleweight days are behind him.
Yeah.
And if he allows himself to weigh in at 159 or 160, I think he'll be able to throw more punches and he'll have stronger stamina down the stretch of hard fights.
Yeah, and he's also a fighter, too, because he throws a lot of punches. You know this. You throw a lot and you miss. I'm not saying he does. You exert more energy than when you throw and you land.
He goes up a lot, too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He uses a lot of energy because he does try to hit with a lot of power every time he throws.
Where are you going to be? What are you covering this weekend?
This weekend I'm going to be home. I'm here in Inglewood, and I'm going to be watching all the fights on TV. I'm going to be watching the heavyweight showdown in London between the two undefeated prospects, Anthony Joshua and Dylan White. I'm going to be watching NBC for my man Chris Areola against Travis
Kaufman. Yep, PA fighter. Yeah. Who, by the way, I'll give you a little side note on that. Kaufman has not. Travis Kaufman, and I've called a bunch of his fights. I've covered him for years. This is his highest profile fight, and I'm not saying they coddled him, but in a way they position it where he was basically fighting against guys that if you stuck him in the ring with Areola, they wouldn't even last a round. So to me, this is more about Kaufman trying to be relevant than Areola.
Yeah, and they know each other very well.
Yep.
I mean, when Areola was a really hot undefeated prospect and was knocking over other prospects in the heavyweight division, his chief sparring partner was Travis Kaufman.
Yep.
Kaufman always gave him his best work in the gym, and they had great sparring sessions, so they know each other's style very well. They know each other very well. To me, the story of this fight is really what does Areola have left? Because I think this year, in his 2 fights this year, he's looked like a badly faded fighter. I would say, Chris Areola is more faded than Miguel Cotto, which is saying something because Areola hasn't accomplished a fraction of what Cotto has accomplished. But Areola, he's burned the candle on both ends. He's had hard fights, and he's partied hard, and he's lived hard. And I just think I wonder if his body has had enough.
Well, we'll see how it plays out this weekend. A lot of action in the Sweet Science on the card up and down the East Coast. Always a pleasure, my friend. Great stuff as always, and we'll talk along the way.
Hey, Rich, give me a call anytime.